What are we making today, Gabby?
I'll tell you in a minute, G baby. But meanwhile, hey, hey, welcome everybody to Miss Glow's Kitchen, where there's sugar, spice, and everything nice, where we slice, dice, and entice, using everything we can, from peppers to allspice. What's up, my people? Y'all know what time it is? See y'all in the kitchen. We're making ravioli with a white wine and mushroom sauce. Alright, so here are the ingredients we need. We'll need ravioli. You can use refrigerated or frozen, and you can use any flavor there. Cheese ravioli, spinach ravioli, whatever you want to use. It's kind of a giving recipe, so it's up to you. Chicken stock or broth, whichever one you have is fine. White wine. White cooking wine is fine, but if you have some that you drink, that's fine too. Extra virgin olive oil. Alright, some seasoned salt. I'm going to use a garlic parsley Himalayan seasoned salt, but any kind of seasoned salt you use is fine. And use butter if you want to substitute that butter, and use margarine. It's perfectly okay as well. We'll also need some dried parsley, black or white pepper, doesn't matter which one. A medium onion chopped, so you can roughly chop this one, but I'll show you when I'm chopping. You need one medium lemon, it could be a large one, zested and juiced, so long as you do that. Not pictured here. Sliced mushrooms. And last but not least, we'll need some capers. Now, let's talk about capers. Capers, they grow in the Mediterranean and Asian areas. They're used in many Italian dishes, Mediterranean dishes, French, Spanish, Indian. All right, they give a savory, salty flavor to the dish. They're plucked immature, so while they're buds, they're dried and then they're pickled in a brine, and that's the way that we use them. So you can either use them in a dish or you can sprinkle them across the top. All right? Learn something new every day, right? All right, let's keep going. For this dish, we'll prep first because everything's going to go pretty quickly. So let's chop our onion. Remember, one medium onion. If you want to use white, yellow, you can even use a red onion in here. It's really totally up to you. All right, so we're going to get this done. And then what we're going to do is we're going to chop this onion. So normally in dishes, we do even pieces, like very even. But right here, we're going to chop this up, and then we're going to give it a rough chop. And anytime you're giving anything a rough chop, you don't expect for all of it to be in even pieces. So some of these are going to cook down more than others, and that's the idea in this dish. I don't want the onions to just melt away completely, because otherwise we could use onion powder, right? Right. So all right, so we do want some texture here. So yeah. So you watch as I do that, and you do the same thing. Keep your knives sharpened too. So knife sharpeners, you can probably find those in a dollar store somewhere. So it's always important to do that, because otherwise your knives do the little slip sliding thing. You're trying to cut onions, slip off, you can cut yourself. So you got kids, then you know to put your really sharp knives away somewhere safe. Especially if you have a really good set of knives like I do. I have some I use in the kitchen, but I have a more expensive set that I purchased. All right, so that's it for the onions. I'm going to put them in a container, and we good to go. So this is a pretty easy sauce. And as I said before, we can use frozen or refrigerated ravioli. That won't make too much of a difference. And if you want to use a cheese ravioli, a spinach ravioli, or some other flavor, you can. It's just going to give the dish more depth. All right, so 1/4 cup of white wine, 1 cup of chicken broth or stock, whichever one you have. Won't make a difference. Trust me when I tell you, it really won't. All right, for the lemon now, we want to juice and zest the lemon. Now here, I made a mistake. I cut it before I zested it. So we're going to use the juice of 1 medium lemon, but here, you're going to take as much zest. Careful that you don't cut down all the way into the white part. That's the pith, and that does get a bit bitter. So careful that we don't do that. But other than that, we straight. We good. And if you find that when you taste your dish, you want more lemon juice, yeah. But that lemon zest, it strengthens that lemon flavor in the dish. It makes it not overpowering, but rather a bit stronger than just plain lemon juice. So this is good. Bring it out for us, and we need it. All right, so that's a juicer. Hey, you can probably find one of those things in a dollar store somewhere, or cheaper in a grocery store, probably. All right, so we're going to get our pan heated. You're going to put a couple splashes of olive oil. So I'm going to use extra virgin olive oil. If you choose to use another type of olive oil or even corn or vegetable oil, you're all good. All right, so we're just going to sweat these onions down a little bit, just a little bit. So cook these until they're almost translucent. All right, so in go the sliced mushrooms. Had these left over in the fridge, so the leftover ingredients, shoot, use your stuff before they go bad. All right, so sliced white mushrooms. And you can use about a ½ pound in there if you need a measurement. In goes the lemon zest. Yes. Nice flavor. So make sure you stir that lemon zest around in there really, really well too. All right, fresh lemon juice. Dish is quicker than you think. I'm just explaining it here so it just looks like it. But once you've got all the ingredients out and you're making this, it goes pretty quickly. Because you know that ravioli, that only takes a couple minutes to boil. Because I promise, don't overcook that. So follow the directions on the package down to the smallest detail. Because overcooked pasta, yuck. All right, in goes the white wine. Yep, you're going to bring it to a nice boil here. It smells so good too. You smell this with that lemon, the white wine. It just smells so good. The onions. But this dish, it actually tastes good. And it's kind of light. It's not heavy. So if you, it's hot and you don't want to eat anything, a whole heavy plate of food, this is a good one. Yes, I like it. Quick meal too. All right, so we're going to keep this on high to reduce it. So you can see the juice is reducing in there now. Don't reduce it until all of the juice is gone. Don't do that. Make sure that you have a little bit of it left in here. But what this does is that reducing is going to intensify the flavor of the dish. So once you've got it reduced, then you're going to put that cup of chicken stock in here. Now, if you're cooking for multiple people, this is probably good for like 2 to 3 people. But if you're cooking for 4 to 5 people, you might want to double the recipe. All right, so again, I tell you what the capers are: a Mediterranean salted and pickled flower bud. Easy enough, because sometimes you want to know these types of ingredients come up in different dishes, what it is, because you might decide to choose to use it in another dish. So yep, I'm going to bring this to a nice boil. So, got salted water over there ready for the ravioli, and keep this on high so you see that flame under the pan. Yep. Now this is going to come back to a boil, and when that comes back to a boil, you'll see what I'll do with it. So, that's sea salt. So I put sea salt in the water. Alright, good. So you put as much or as little of the ravioli. Obviously, if you're going to make more ravioli, then you're going to use a bigger pot. Alright, so good. Alright, so we're going to skip on past this part, and we're going to come back to when this sauce is boiling and the ravioli is either done or about done. We'll add our seasonings now. So this is, you can see around the edges coming to a boil. So I'm going to sprinkle that black pepper on there. You're going to eyeball it. If you love black pepper, then obviously you're going to put way more than I just did. All right, dried parsley. I'll kind of sprinkle. Just cover the top of it, and that's enough. Pretty light sprinkling of it. Give it a nice, fresh little flavor. All right, so I'm using the garlic parsley, the Himalayan sea salt, but you can use a seasoned salt here, and it's going to do the same thing. Or you can use a salt, and then you can use a bit of garlic, and obviously the parsley's in there already. So, all right, so we're going to stir this around, and again, bring this to a rolling boil. Now, once it's at a rolling boil, we're going to mix up a slurry and add it. Quick slurry: 2 tablespoons of water, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch or flour. Flour will do the trick here. Now this is going to thicken up just slightly. I don't want mine to thicken up too much. If you do want yours a thicker consistency, then you'll put another slurry in there. So just very easily double that amount, and you'll get this probably as thick as stew gravy, if that's how you want it. All right, so ravioli's ready. I'm going to take it out. All right, so it's slightly, if you look at it, slightly thicker, but thick enough for me. I wanted mine more of a liquid consistency. So we'll put 2 pats of butter in here. So that'll enhance the flavor, but it'll also thicken it up a little bit for you too. And not too much. So you don't want it a gummy-like texture, no. So this is good right here. So here you can prepare your ravioli. So put your ravioli on the plate. Because as soon as this butter melts, then you can serve. Presentation is everything. Right, so I just piled some in the middle of the plate here. So I'm going to make sure I get a good amount of the mushrooms on here. Again, I said this is probably good for 2 to 3 people, but it's more like the amount that I made is good for 2 people. But for presentation purposes, again, I just put it on here to just show you what it looks like. So check out those mushrooms, that liquid. You can smell the wine, the lemon. It's, yeah, I love it. Okay, didn't taste this one on camera. I was a little bit too hungry today, so I kind of knew I wasn't going to be eating very neatly today, so I didn't bother with that. All right, so once this is done beautifully, then we're going to sprinkle a little more dried parsley on there. Give it a little more color. But if you have fresh parsley, chop it up. But don't put too much fresh parsley, because if you do, it's going to give it like a slightly little minty flavor. So it's going to change up the flavor on here for you. So be careful if you do that. You know, put like one of the leaves of the parsley on there, or do a very, very small amount. That's why I use dried. I'll get you a close up here. Look at that. You want to try out something different, something new? Go make this, please. As usual, it's been a blast. Thanks for spending time with me in my kitchen. Hit that like and that subscribe button and that bell for notifications so you'll know right away when I put a new video up.